subscribe to G-Man Boxing. Great channel. So head on over there and click that red button. G-Man Boxing on YouTube. Filip Hrgovic returns to action this weekend on a Sauerland card in Denmark. And Hrgovic obviously is co-promoted by Sauerland, along with Eddie Hearn. And he's fighting this man, Alexandre Kartozia. He is a Georgian heavyweight based in Greece, 39 years of age. He's got a record of 8-1-1 with 7 KOs, and his one loss was by knockout. Now, originally, Hrgovic was supposed to be fighting Andre Parlour. Some of you may recognize that name. He fought the likes of Derek Chisora and David Price back in the days. Now, on paper, Parlour has a much better record than this Kartozia guy, and he's actually younger despite the fact that he's more experienced. But bizarrely, for some reason, Parlour hasn't fought since the David Price fight back in 2014. And I swear he dropped David Price in that fight, didn't he? It might not have been a clean punch. It might have been like a clothesline or something. The David Price, I think it was that fight where he went down before getting off the floor to stop Parlour in 3. So, yeah, Parlour on paper, the, long hiatus notwithstanding. And by the way, I'm not sure why he decided to walk away from boxing or why he hasn't had any fights since 2014, given the fact that he's still relatively young. I mean, now I think he's about 36, 37. At the time when he walked away from boxing, he might have only been 30. Or I say walked away. The last time he had a fight, he might have been 30 years old. So not sure if he's got, another job outside of boxing which pays better, or business interests, or there's some other reason that he hasn't fought in so long. Who knows? But that would be obviously not ideal when you're facing Filip Hrgovic. And from a fan perspective, a guy who's coming off a 6-year layoff, again, not ideal going in against Filip Hrgovic. You're not expecting it to last long, really. But how long are we expecting Alexandre Kartozia to last? He's talking tough, apparently, saying that he can't be underestimated and Hrgovic has never fought anybody with his type of power. I've never seen this gentleman box, but I think that that's hype talk. And if he really believes what he's saying, I think he's in for a rude awakening. So if we look at his record here, he's fought absolutely nobody. I mean, literally nobody. In his last fight, he fought a guy that was 2-14. Before that, he fought somebody on their debut. Before that, he had a draw with someone who was 2-3-1. Then he lost. Get this, people. He lost. He was stopped by Ricardo Schneiders. Ricardo Schneiders is the guy who Daniel Dubois just blew out in 2 rounds. The cruiserweight. Kartozia got stopped by Schneiders 2 years ago in 8 rounds. So, this is the kind of level this guy's at. Now, look, it's obviously a very difficult situation at the moment in terms of boxing and I guess the rest of the economy. Let's be real. Very difficult situation. And because of all the restrictions in place all over the world, it's even more difficult than it would normally be to secure Filip Hrgovic a decent opponent. And this is a last-minute replacement because, again, it was supposed to be Andre Parlour. The last-minute replacement is Kartozia. So I get all that. But after this, Sauerland and Eddie Hearn really need to get their heads together and come up with a meaningful fight for Filip Hrgovic, either later on this year or early in 2021. Because this is a guy who had an extensive amateur background. This is a guy who fought in the World Series of Boxing. And this will be his 11th fight. He's being moved not extremely slow, but not as fast as some of his contemporaries. For example, Joe Joyce is being moved a lot faster than Filip Hrgovic. Joe Joyce has signed to fight Daniel Dubois. Is Hrgovic in any kind of fight like that? Joe Joyce has already fought the likes of Brian Jennings and former world heavyweight champion Berman Stavern. So, I think they really need to step it up with Hrgovic a little bit. He has plenty of experience, not only amateurs, as I say, also in the World Series of Boxing. Struggling to get my words out here. Experience in that as well, which is like the World Series of Boxing is a very good halfway house between amateur boxing and pro boxing. So it's not as much of a shock to the system coming from the World Series of Boxing going into professional boxing. You see, because there's more rounds and there's no head guard. Well, to be fair, they don't really wear head guards in open class senior bouts in the amateurs anyway anymore. But even the gloves are different in the World Series of Boxing. They're more like professional gloves and all that kind of stuff. So it's just more of a professional setup. So it's a good halfway house between the two. Hrgovic has got that under his belt. So yeah, they need to get a move on with him. I mean, there's no rush, obviously. You know, he's still only 28, but it's important that he doesn't stagnate. It's important that he doesn't get left behind, as I say, the rest of his contemporaries, because, you know, still young at 28, but that's no spring chicken either. Remember, at 28, wasn't Anthony Joshua already challenging for world titles? I think he was. And look, everybody has to walk their own path. People can't become world champions or challenge for world titles at the same age. I mean, look at Mike Tyson, right? Look at Floyd Patterson. Look at Muhammad Ali. They all challenged for world titles and won world titles in their early 20s. You don't really see that happening in heavyweight boxing much these days. So, you know, everyone's got their own path, but nonetheless, I personally feel like they need to step it up now a little bit with Hrgovic. The Molina fight, I mean, Molina has been in there with some good people, but really and truly, he doesn't have much stomach for battle and never really has had. Other than the Wilder fight, you've never really seen Molina with that much stomach for battle. And when I say stomach, I'm using the word metaphorically, right? Figuratively, because physically, Molina's got plenty of stomach. Who else has he fought here? Mario Herida, Gregory Corbin, you know, Kevin Johnson. So yeah, not great for Filip Hrgovic. Needs to be stepped up. This guy, where are we at? Yeah, this guy, Kartozia, I haven't watched him fight, but based upon the people he has fought and lost to, like Schneider's, the age of him, the size of him, I can only imagine this is going to end pretty quick. And it's going to be very one-sided. I can only imagine that. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. What do you think would be a sensible step up for Filip Hrgovic next? That's the question I really want to ask you guys. I'm thinking maybe somebody like the guy who, Rice, the guy who Ajagba just fought. Rice. I think that Rice guy is awkward. He's tricky. He's difficult to pin down. He's going to offer up some resistance. If they can get him for Hrgovic next, I think that's a good way to go. Now, some people want to match Hrgovic with, you know, legit contenders. They want to put him in there with Joyce next. They want to put him in there with Bacoli. They want to put him in there with Daniel Dubois. And I'm up for that too. You know, Hrgovic has definitely got enough experience in World Series of Boxing and amateur boxing, and so far as a pro, to be putting those kind of fights right there. As I say, if Joe Joyce is fighting Dubois, there's no reason why Hrgovic can't be in them kind of fights right now. So I'm up for that too. It all depends on how quickly they want to move him. Maybe they think those guys have been moved too quickly. Maybe they want to move Hrgovic in a more traditional way, you know, at a more traditional speed. So, for example, Lennox Lewis, I think he won the European title in his 14th fight. And after winning the European title, he then fought Gary Mason. And Gary Mason at the time was a top 10 heavyweight, undefeated 35-0. So that was a real good, you know, scalp for Lennox Lewis at the time. I think that was for the British title. But yeah, he was British and European champion within, I think, 15 fights. So Hrgovic fighting for the European title. Okay, I'm not sure how much importance some of these fighters put on the European title these days. I mean, if you look at a lot of these Hrgovic fights, there's the international WBC heavyweight title on the line, which I guess Hrgovic still holds. Although it's not on the line for this fight. There's nothing about it on BoxRec. And sometimes fighters feel like having these secondary belts from one of the sanctioning bodies is better than fighting for the European title, because this will achieve them a better rank, you know, a higher rank, defending belts like this. So the point I'm making is fighters on that type of level, the European title level, Hrgovic should at least be looking to target those guys. And obviously, you know, the likes of Kartozia are way below that. And even Parlour, way below that. So as difficult as the situation is, Hearn and Sauerland should be able to get their heads together and come up with something decent for Filip Hrgovic. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. It's happening, I'm out. If you live in the Sheffield area and you need a kitchen fitted, make sure you check out JW Interiors. My friend James has been in the industry for many, many years. He is the Vasyl Lomachenko of kitchen fitters, and he's a real good, solid Yorkshireman to boot. So check him out at JW Interiors. I'll leave links in the description below to his Facebook page, to his website, and you can find all the contact details there. So check him out, JW Interiors.